Hello everyone. In this video, we're picking out and sharing the latest topics about Asia. From one of the most famous Reddit-style forums in Japan. Even if you don't understand Japanese, we've translated everything into English subtitles and audio. So you can join the conversation as if you were in Japan. So, let's dive into the discussions happening in Japan. A growing number of Chinese people are moving to Japan for their children's education. In China, the competition to get into college is even more intense than in Japan. And even after spending huge amounts on education, it's still hard to find a job, so people are increasingly anxious about the future. Many parents say things like, Japan isn't as cutthroat as China. And cram schools across Japan are now packed with Chinese kids. Chinese-only communities that avoid interacting with Japanese locals are forming in various areas.
This might be the biggest Chinese migration wave since the Cultural Revolution. The problem is that they're forming their own separate communities. Even if someone's fine on their own, when they start grouping up, their behavior changes. And that's when it gets tricky. That kind of thing happens with every nationality, not just Chinese. Brazilians group with Brazilians. Sri Lankans stick with Sri Lankans. It's the same everywhere. At this rate, by the time I die, Japan will be a country where, like 80% of people have foreign ancestry. Well, this is the future Japanese people wanted, so it is what it is. I'm against it, though. I've been saying we should stop. How do Chinese people even get permanent residency in Japan? You can get it by running an Airbnb business. With Japan's shrinking and aging population, young immigrants are actually welcomed here. Would the Chinese Communist Party even allow that? I thought people couldn't even move around freely without permission. You don't even need to go to Tokyo University, just graduate from a decent school and land a job, and it's pretty easy. If you can cook some kind of Chinese food, they'll recognize it as a special skill. My boss is Chinese, so I guess I'd better start learning Chinese too. It's actually pretty easy to get a PhD in Japan. Yeah, but in Japan, just having a PhD doesn't mean much. Are you really planning to go back to China with that? Chinese people tend to distribute wealth within their own communities and hire each other. So they're fine either way. What's next? Naturalizing and becoming government officials. Chinese people have a mindset that values competition and doesn't really like the idea of equality. There are probably areas now where the number of Chinese kids is higher than Japanese kids. In rich parts of Bunkyo Ward, I bet half the kids in elementary school are Chinese. My kids' class in Bunkyo has about 1/3 Chinese kids, Riternese, and Korean students. They all look Japanese at first glance, so it just seems like a regular class. Even someone who couldn't make it in China can come to Japan and be seen as elite. Let's not forget, these are people from a country pointing missiles at Japan. The government and business leaders really need to wake up. Just graduating from a Japanese university doesn't mean you'll be able to compete globally. Yeah, but Japanese people can live comfortably without even looking at the rest of the world. Life here is on easy mode. Chinese international students are insanely smart. If more and more kids like that start coming to Japan, they'll dominate academically. Japanese students can't match their level of motivation. That was true over 10 years ago, when they were elite government-sponsored students. Back then, they were the best of the best, selected through brutal competition. But the ones coming now are just rich kids. Most of them flunk classes, repeat years, and get so into Japanese pop culture, they can't even reintegrate into Chinese society. The issue is they group up and start enforcing their own rules, totally ignoring the local culture. People who push their Chinese way of doing things without compromise are honestly a headache to people from China, which has a crazy civil service exam history. Japan's entrance exams probably seem way too easy. Even after all that studying, this is the best they can do? Meanwhile, Japanese students put in like a tenth of the effort and still manage to succeed. Even back in 2000 when I went to an international academic conference in the US, Chinese presenters outnumbered Japanese ones, and now the gap is massive. Young Japanese people just don't try hard anymore. China's definitely gotten richer. Their national income used to be less than 1% of Japan's. But now places like Shanghai and Beijing are nearly on the same level. The top tier there is way ahead of Japan. The minimum full-time salary in Shanghai is like 52,000 yen. It dropped that much? I'd heard rumors that Shanghai had gone super quiet. But sounds like it's true. That Sakura Mall in Shibuya is a disaster, but honestly, Shanghai seems like a whole different level of collapse. If that's true, then the gap between rich cities and poor, rural areas in China must be the worst in the world. How do people put up with that? If someone like Chen Sheng were around today, it'd be revolution time for sure. The top Chinese students who come to Japan aren't planning to stay here forever. They're usually people who couldn't make it to the very top in China. So they use elite Japanese universities like Todai, University of Tokyo as a stepping stone to get into the academic world in the West. Whatever, just fix your own country first, before trying to make it somewhere else. At this rate, mixed marriages with Chinese people will increase so fast that soon everyone, men and women, will start looking like Jack Ma. Japan is the only developed country where the gap between rich and poor isn't that extreme. Instead of heavy social welfare, the government helps out small and local businesses a lot, and strict labor laws protect workers. But because of that, economic growth has totally stalled. If the number of Chinese people keeps growing, Japan will just turn into China, and that defeats the whole purpose. The exam competition in China is on a totally different level. A lot of students who couldn't pass China's hardest college entrance exams end up in Japan, settling for places like Todai or Kyoto University. And even those students end up being top performers in Japan. That's the reality. Still, it's incredibly hard to get Japanese citizenship or permanent residency. If you're a free individual, great, but people who are essentially dumped by their own country, that's a bit much. Honestly, I don't think someone who hates their homeland can really thrive overseas. There are also plenty of Chinese people who come to Japan and end up completely burned out and hopeless. Only a small number of them actually succeed. What's clear is that some people are trying really hard to push the image that Chinese people are richer and smarter than Japanese people. Graduating from the University of Tokyo actually makes it easier to get a work visa in Singapore. It's way better than trying to get into Peking University with a 1 in 3,000 acceptance rate. If you're a second or third tier student in China who just missed being part of the elite, Todai probably feels like a breeze. If they were truly top tier in China, they'd stay and enjoy all the perks there, or aim for the West instead of coming to Japan. So a lot of the Chinese people who come to Japan are kind of the losers back home. It's like how Chinese table tennis players who didn't make the national team end up joining Team Japan. At this rate, Japan is going to be full of trash and people pooping in public. Give it 50 years, and the northern part of Tokyo and southern Saitama will basically be Chinese territory. We should flip the Situation: use the rising number of Chinese immigrants to our advantage. Teach them how terrible Xi Jinping's ideology is, and turn them into a force that can take down the Chinese government. After all, Sun Yat-sen studied in Japan and went on to found the Republic of China. Some of the Chinese people educated in Japan might eventually go back and try to change their home country. Yeah, no way that's happening. I'm in my 50s, so I won't be around for much longer. But all I can do is tell the younger generation to do their best and make Japan a better place. They don't even feel ashamed coming to a country they look down on just to mooch off it. I doubt anyone who truly sees Japan as the enemy is coming here. Even in that article, the parents didn't plan to send their kids back to China. They want them to find jobs in Japan. So in practice, it's more like they're defecting. They've already built their own mini economy and are making money within that circle. They don't even spend much in the Japanese economy. By the time today's kids grow up, all the new hires at top Japanese companies might just be Chinese or other foreigners. I worked with a Chinese colleague who spoke Japanese kind of awkwardly at first. But in less than 6 months, he was speaking fluently. I was honestly shocked. I mean, you can usually guess what something means just by reading the characters anyway. China banned cram schools under Xi Jinping, so now they're coming to Japan. Seriously, can they stop? The obsession with education in China and Korea is just nuts. The apartment complex near my place is slowly turning into an Airbnb hub. They're all owned and operated by Chinese people, and Chinese guests stay there too. They get together late at night and make a ton of noise. I'm sure most Chinese people are nice individually, but at the PTA meetings in elementary school, even when the teacher is talking, the Chinese parents just keep chatting loudly among themselves. It just doesn't mesh well with Japanese culture. The sad reality is that Chinese people are working harder than Japanese people now. Of course they are. China is going all in on taking over Japan. If that's the case, maybe Japanese people just need to step up and study harder too?
Did you find this video interesting? We'll keep bringing you fun topics from Japan's online community. Please subscribe to the channel and drop some comments.